Hey everybody, it's GombletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'm going to be playing a premiere draft of New Capenna Alchemy. This is the first time that they've added a draft queue for the new Alchemy cards on Arena. The way that this is going to work is it will be a regular premiere draft of Streets of New Capenna, but one common out of every pack will be replaced with an Alchemy card. That could be an uncommon, a rare, or mythic from Alchemy. It's going to be the exact same entry fee and rewards as a regular draft. However, we'll be getting packs of Streets of New Capenna Alchemy as the reward packs instead of regular packs. So this is the way that they're giving players the way to draft a collection of Alchemy cards, just like you could draft a collection of standard cards with the regular Premier Draft formats. So I think this seems like a really cool event to me. It's completely optional. You can still play the regular New Capenna drafts, and I think it'll be a nice way to liven up the format, give it a little bit of variety. It's kind of like it gets its own little mystical archives where every pack's going to have kind of a splashy, weird card in it, as well as the normal New Capenna stuff. So pretty excited for this. We'll see how it plays as we head into the draft. Alright, and here we are in pack 1, and our new Alchemy card is a Rope Line Attendant. A green and a white for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, creature cards in your hand perpetually gain. When this creature enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. So on average, this is a 2-mana 2/2 that comes with 1 or 2 extra 1/1s. You're going to get those 1/1s later in the game. Doesn't seem like massively powerful, but doesn't seem bad at all. And in the interest of trying out a lot of these new Alchemy cards, I think I'm going to give myself a little bit of a stipulation draft where I am going to pick the Alchemy cards a lot higher than I would normally, just in the interest of actually playing with them a bit, because we've only got the Alchemy queues for about a week here, so let's play with the fresh new cards. If it weren't for this Rope Line Attendant, there's some pretty great black removal in the pack, Whack and Murder. There's also the really nice red rare Jaxis the Troublemaker, kind of a Kiki-Jiki sort of effect, pretty fun card to play around with. So those are all pretty top picks, but I'll go with the Rope Line Attendant here out of the Alchemy cards. Also, I love that it says that these are Theros Beyond Death packs for some reason. So looks like the drafter on our right took a page out of our book here and did the same. They went ahead and just took the Alchemy card. What do we have then, just in terms of normal, powerful Streets of New Capenna cards? Pretty sure I'm going to roll with Cleanup Crew. Our first pick here is green and white, so taking the best green or white card in the pack, we could take a Cleanup Crew or the slightly weaker Gathering Throng. Gathering Throng is good if you can get like 3 or more copies of it. It'll be pretty great, but otherwise, Cleanup Crew is just going to be a great late game play. It can stabilize us with some life gain, or it can be a sick 2-for-1, getting a 6/6 onto the board and destroying an opposing artifact or enchantment. Really nice card. We'll go with Cleanup Crew here. Again, if we weren't tied to green-white, Whack is pretty great removal for black, but not the craziest pack ever. Ooh, another Alchemy card in this pack. Traumatic Prank is the card. So this is clearly for the Maestro's sort of sacrifice decks. This is a active treason effect. You gain control of a creature till end of turn, untap it, give it haste, and then it perpetually can't block and deals the damage to its owner during their upkeep. So kind of an interesting card because it still does some work even if you don't sacrifice whatever you steal. But don't think it's going to be good in any deck and draft outside of the Rakdos Sacrifice, Maestro's Sacrifice things. So here we don't have too much great stuff to work with our kind of green-white deck here. We could take like a Rocco to try to splash, because that can tutor out any creature from our deck with enough mana. Courage Briefcase is like okay. Honestly, the best cards in the pack are just like Murder again. And I might just take Murder here, just in case we get hard cut off of what we were trying to do first. Alright, this pack is not so bad at all for us. We've got something that'll stick to our game plan. Voice of the Vermin it is, a 4-mana 2/2 that comes with a shield counter and turns something into a 4/4 every time it attacks. Not bad at all. Well, I was certainly right about black. There are black cards everywhere. However, everything in this pack is pretty weak. The strongest card is probably Cormella, but Cormella is a pretty specific strategy. Pretty restrictive mana cost. Sewer Crocodile is also okay. There are certainly a ton of black cards in this pack, but none of them are very good. Midnight Assassin might be the best. Maestro's Initiate is like fine. Vampire Scriver, Illicit Shipment, and Cemetery Tampering are all close to unplayable, in my opinion. I guess we could just take like Boon of Safety as a trick. This is a awkward pack here. So I'm going to take a Cormella. Pick 6 now. We are still seeing good green stuff, so pretty happy to see that. We see Civic Gardener and Venom Connoisseur. Both of these are solid 2-drops. 2-drops are pretty important in this format. There are plenty of good replaceable 4, 5, 6 mana cards. Not a ton of great ones at 2, so you got to pick up the good ones when you can. And these are both certainly filling that role. So Civic Gardener is good because it is a citizen, so it's a very important creature type for a green-white deck. And Venom Connoisseur is good just for the death touch, so it can keep getting in for damage later, even if your opponent has good blockers. So don't actually know which is better. We currently don't have anything that cares about citizens, plus we have 3 cards that are already citizens, so I think I'll go for the Venom Connoisseur. But we could really go either way there, and it would be fine. So now we're on pick 7. We've got Quick Draw Dagger here, which is a solid trick. There's a lot of creatures on the ground, a lot of blocks happening. Patch Up's okay if you have a ton of copies of like really good 3 mana value or less creatures, but in your average deck, it's not really worth it. That's just like if you have 3 of the Inspiring Overseers or 3 Jewel Thieves or something like that, then get some value there. Yeah, not a super wild pack. We'll just go for the Quick Draw Dagger here. Solid combat trick. Warm Welcome is not a terrible card either. 3 mana for a 1/1, plus you get to grab a creature out of the top 5 cards of your library, reveal it, put it into your hand. Does feel horrible if you ever miss with that card, but on average, you probably shouldn't be missing often. It's happened to me a couple times, and I cry every time. So we are just wildly heavy into green. That's our one thing for sure. We could try to do like Golgari if we're just going to keep seeing like murders and Dialga Bads everywhere. just not do any color pair that you're supposed to do in this format. Yeah, I mean, I don't love Jetmir's Fixer even if I go green-red. So I'll just take a Dialga Bad there. Pack 1, pick 10, Social Climber. I wouldn't be super happy to run this card, but I think it's the most likely out of everything here. Mayhem Patrol, I suppose, if we go down red, Mayhem Patrol is more powerful than Social Climber. A 2 mana 2/2 mana is probably better than a 3 mana 3/2 with a pretty marginal ability. Yeah, we'll speculate on moving into red, I suppose. Sticky Fingers, High Rise Sawjack here. Both are pretty down on the filler level, but they can both serve their role fine. Yeah, doesn't look like we have a lot of flying blockers. I'm just going to go with High Rise Sawjack because we're definitely in green. Don't know for sure if we're going to be doing red stuff or not. All right. Pack 2, what alchemy card do we have? We have Pass the Torch, which seems like a very solid card. 2 mana for 2 damage to any target at instant speed, then choose a creature in your hand. And when that creature deals combat damage to a player, you can cast a card from Pass the Torch from your graveyard. And then if you do that, you've cast Pass the Torch, so you then put it on another creature in your hand. This card seems insane in draft, to where I might even take it over Zeatora the Incinerator. This is a really hard choice. Either one of these cards we take, we're going down the red path. If we go for Zeatora, we don't get to play the Rope Line Attendant, because we don't get to go green, red, white. We have to go green, red, black. Unless we have a good amount of treasure production, I guess we could. Because this is my first alchemy draft, I'm going to take the Sweet Alchemy card here. Zeatora might be the better pick, but Pass the Torch seems like another very strong card actually for limited. And a really fun one. Its own kind of unique mechanic. So again, we're taking alchemy cards super highly today. Wow, Tenacious Underdog, if we went down the red path for Riveteers, would be solid. For Cabaretti, what do we have? We do have the Cabaretti Charm, but it's the weakest of the charms. Dealing damage to something equal to the number of creatures you control is pretty inflexible. And the other effects aren't particularly good either. This pack's just not great. Rocks Pummeler is a solid way to end a game. Plasma Jockeys, decent mid-range, mid-game play, and then Underdog is good if we go into black, but we're going to be 3 colors if we go black, green, red, and black, so hitting the double black for the blitz might be a little difficult. I really don't know here. I don't love any of it. I'm actually just going to take like a mid-range Plasma Jockey here. now, whole lot of not much again. Echo Inspector is the strongest card in the pack. Plasma Jockey's fine. Decent mana fixing in terms of the lands. I think we take Plasma Jockey again. Pick 4 now. It's got Rock's Pummeler. Backup Agent in white. But it looks like green-red is the core with white being the splash. So good 2-drops are things you want to have in one of your main colors and not your splash colors. Take a Cabaret Courtyard here for mana fixing. Or we could take Rock's Pummeler. I'm going to get some mana fixing in the deck. Ooh, Incandescent Aria is a pretty nice reason to be splashing the white in. Dealing 3 to each non-token creature. There's also Strangle, though, if we just want to do a good amount of damage to one card. One little removal spell. I think we go Incandescent Aria over Strangle, but Strangle would be sweet here, too. Take that potential Wrath effect. Alright, I do like Kaldaya Strongarm quite a bit, and green is our most prominent color, so nice to take the green card out of the pack. Now we've got Racer's Ring or a 3rd Plasma Jockey or a Skycrier. Go for the Racer's Ring here. Don't love Prize Fight here because we already have Pass the Torch, Incandescent Aria, Quick Draw Dagger. Yeah, let's get more mana fixing in. Security Rocks is a solid 4-drop even without treasure tokens, just a 4-mana 5/4. It's a big beat stick, but for the family is a good combat trick as well. I think I'm going to go Security Rocks. This deck's starting to look like there's some Gruul beats. Alright. We don't have a lot of 2-drop creatures here. We have Mayhem Patrol and Venom Connoisseur. Ropeline Attendant, sure, but it's a white card, so we're probably not getting the white mana immediately. I think we just need more 2-drop creatures to make sure we're actually getting out aggressively, so I like Civic Gardener over a Prize Fight here. And now we can go ahead and take a Rock's Pummeler. I think I take Rock's Pummeler over Cabaret Charm, honestly. The cards have been very, very unimpressive to me. I guess if you go really wide, then +1/+1 trample to the whole field can be pretty good, but I don't know. Never seen the Cabaret Charm do all that much. Fine little Antagonize combat trick. Another Rock's Pummeler here, or another 2-drop Jetmir's Fixer. Not a phenomenal 2-drop, but it is another 2-drop. We only have 3 that are attacking. Yeah, we'll take a Jetmir's Fixer. First Sticky Fingers. Second Sticky Fingers. We could definitely play some if we want. Ooh, no. Alright, I'm going to take Fight Rigging because it's an incredibly powerful card. Putting a +1/+1 counter on one of your creatures every time you go to combat and potentially casting something for free once you have a creature with power 7 or greater on the board. But I really want to take Giant Regrowth. It's a really fun, really neat design. And it's a new Alchemy card, which is kind of what we're doing here. We're playing the brand new Alchemy draft format. But I don't think I can justify taking this over Fight Rigging. Fight Rigging is just obnoxiously good. But yeah, Giant Regrowth, it's Giant Growth and Regrowth all in one. So Regrowth is 2 mana to return any card from your graveyard to your hand. And then Giant Growth is target creature gets +3/+3. So Giant Regrowth is return any card from graveyard to your hand. And if it's a creature, it perpetually gains +3/+3. So that's pretty cool. Oh my god, no, you can't keep giving us packs like this. This is another Alchemy card we don't get to play because we've got Professional Facebreaker in the pack, which is literally, not only is this definitely better than the Big Spender, but it's literally like the same card, but better, because Big Spender is a 2-mana 2/1 with haste. Whenever one or more creatures you control become blocked, you create a treasure token, and you can sacrifice 2 treasures to draft the card from its spellbook, which is just a variety of weird stuff that might be good and might be poop. Whereas Professional Facebreaker is just whenever one of your creatures deals damage to your opponent, get a treasure, and then you get to sack a treasure to just draw a card off the top of your library for a turn. So it's literally just like the way better version of Big Spender. So really can't justify taking the Alchemy card there. Here I'm going to take Pugnacious Pugilist over the rare. Black Market Tycoon is fun, and it would be solid here. This is nice because it's kind of like a Birds of Paradise sort of card. It's going to tap to give you a mana of any color every turn, even if you always immediately sacrifice your treasure tokens. It's basically a 2-mana 2/2 that taps for mana of any color. Not bad, but Pugnacious Pugilist is just a absolute beater. A 5 mana 4/4 that spits out a 1/1 devil every time it attacks. It can blitz in for only 4. Pugilist is just awesome, and I really like that card. Okay, what do we have now? Unfortunately, I think that's going to be it for the brand new alchemy cards we get to play around with, because it looks like they've dried up here. So now, we could grab another big drop like a Rocks Pummeler here, or we could grab For the Family for more cheap combat tricks. Probably not playing those, probably not playing that. We could even just cut the white at this point. We're just splashing Rope Line Attendant and Incandescent Aria, and I don't think Rope Line Attendant's a very good splash, but Aria's solid. It wants to take Masked Bandits? No, let's go For the Family, I think. Get a nice little cheap combat trick. Now we get another Security Rocks. It's between Security Rocks or Freelance Muscle. They're pretty similar cards. Security Rocks is a 4 mana 5/4, so there's just a lot of power toughness for the mana cost, but it doesn't have any evasion or anything. Freelance Muscle is kind of like a 5 mana 6/6 to 8/8, depending on if you have a 2/2 or 4/4 on the board alongside it. But it's very similar, just a big dorky creature. But 5 mana versus 4 mana is kind of a big deal. Yeah, I'm going to go for Security Rocks between the two big dorky creatures. And Exhibition Magician would not be bad at all in this deck. 3 mana 2/1 that can get a treasure token if we need it, or a 1/1 Citizen if we don't. Now, another Exhibition Magician, I suppose, but we could take Unleash the Inferno. Splash a little bit of black for that removal spell. But we don't have any great way to splash in black. We just have 2 green-red dual lands, so I don't think that's what we're going for. I mean, we have a little bit of treasure production, so maybe we cast it off a treasure, but I don't think so. Take another Exhibition Magician there. Probably taking Cabaret Courtyard here, but let's see how many 2-drops we actually have. 1, 2, 3, 4. We only have 4 creatures that we're actually casting on 2, so we might have to play Attended Socialite, even though it's not ideal. I really don't like the 1 toughness on it, but we are pretty low on 2 mana creatures. Let's grab another one here. For the amount of combat tricks and like stuff that we have, pretty low on 2-drops. Alright, well, at this point, I am gonna be honest, I'm not sure Giant Regrowth is actually better than an Exhibition Magician, Warm Welcome, or Racer's Ring here. It's probably not better than just another Racer's Ring, but the Alchemy card wheeled to us, and we're playing the Alchemy event. Let's play the Alchemy card. Ooh, pick 10's really nice for us. We get another Mayhem Patrol. Perfect little 2-drop for our aggro deck here. Riveteer's Initiate, not bad either. Now we've got a lot of 2-drop stuff, and another Rocks Pummeler to close games out. Oh yeah, things really finished off quite well at the end there. Super nice. This is going to be a pretty easy deck to build. I'm excited for this. This is some very basic bread and butter magic here as well. It's going to be red-green aggro, Gruul, Beats. Exactly what this color pair does in most formats. We're just going to play a bunch of dudes and attack. So let's see how our creature versus non-creature count looks here with our deck, because we've got some combat tricks and a lot of beefy creatures. We're probably wanting to be aggressive, probably a 17 creature, 6 non-creature sort of deck here. So we need to cut like 5 creatures and 1 non-creature card out of this deck. So our 2-drop slot did get nice and full here at the end, so we can cut this Attended Socialite. It does theoretically synergize well with Exhibition Magician, but I'm very, very, very low on 1 toughness creatures in this format because of 1/1 citizen tokens, 1/1 fish tokens, and night clubbers that give everything -1/-1. So I would rather just cut my only 1 toughness 2 mana creature before anything else, even though it could maybe do a lot of damage when we start dropping Exhibition Magicians, but I don't know. So all of our other 2 mana creatures are 2 mana 2/2s. Basically, Mayhem Patrol always gets an additional power every time it attacks, so it attacks as a 2/2, even if it doesn't block as a 2/2. Initiate scales well late into the game, but it does give us a mana requirement to get any extra value off of it, whereas every other 2-drop that we have is a 2 mana 2/2 with a little bit of upside without any more mana commitment to it. Like, we get the upside of untapping things without having to pay extra mana, upside of maybe getting Death Touch without paying extra mana. I guess Jetmir's Fixer is kind of similar to the Initiates, just the 2 mana 2/2, unless we start using that ability. This is nice with our Exhibition Magicians, though. But I could see cutting that. I could see the Initiates getting out. And then I could see dropping Sawjack, but it's kind of our only defense against flyers outside of removal spells. So it's pretty mediocre, but we don't have much else we can do against flying creatures outside of just try to outrace them. Facebreaker is phenomenal. It's definitely not getting cut. Exhibition Magicians are just fine in here. Plasma Jockeys are kind of just fine in here, but Voice of the Vermin and Security Rocks look like nice, big, beat-em-up creatures to end the game, as do Strong Arm, Pugilist, Rocks Pummelers, and Cleanup Crews. So this is kind of our pile of creatures that we want to cut 5 out of. So I'm definitely cutting Socialite. Then I kind of like the idea of Plasma Jockey. Closing out a game with that Blitz ability, just shutting off a blocker out of nowhere. Plasma Jockey can really steal some games. I think I'm going to keep those in, so we just need to cut 4 more. We want at least 5 2-mana creatures here, probably even more. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could just cut like all my 3-drops and use turn 3 to be casting combat tricks like For the Family, Antagonize, Quick Draw Dagger. Is my plan for turn 3. Or, I mean, we could just play another 2-mana card on turn 3. Cut 1 Fixer, 1 Exhibition Magician, maybe. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's still 19 creatures. Whoops. I guess we could go really, really high on the creature count, but that's probably a bit bold. A bit much. I like our beefy late game creatures so much, but I also like curving out with the 2 power creatures with our combat tricks that are available to us. Cut 1 Security Rocks, 1 Pummeler, I guess. Now we're down to 17 creatures. Could play a 16 land deck here maybe, but probably not. Our average is 3.2 in terms of the curve. We do have Racer's Ring being able to sack itself to draw a card. Cabaret Courtyard thins 1 land out of our deck when we filter with it, or when we fetch with it. Alright, what's our weakest non-creature? Probably Warm Welcome. Warm Welcome's basically just another creature. Warm Welcome's good in any decks where you have some particularly powerful like bomb creatures you really need to dig for. So I guess it's like okay with Professional Facebreaker. But I really, really like it in decks that have like big 6-drop or 5-drop bombs, like the big Trample Rhino or the big Flying Sanctuary Warden Angel, stuff like that. Doesn't feel all that special here. I can cut a Warm Welcome and then call it a deck. Alright, so here is a final look at our deck for the day. This is a green-red just beat-em-up deck here. We've got a good chunk of 2-mana 2/2 creatures with some combat tricks to leverage as removal against opposing blockers. For the Family, Antagonize, and Quick Draw Dagger there. Once we get into the late game, we've got some decently sized beef like Security Rocks, Pugnacious Pugilist, Strong Arm, Cleanup Crew, Rocks Pummeler, and those should hopefully carry us, but we also have a couple bombs that are going to take over the game anytime that we draw them. The Professional Facebreaker to potentially let us keep drawing extra cards off the top with the Exile ability, and the Fight Rigging to make sure all of our threats just keep getting bigger and bigger throughout the game. We also have a really fancy removal spell, Pass the Torch, that is almost bomb-worthy in the right matchup, I would assume, because this is a 2-mana, 2 damage to any target removal spell that you get to keep like recasting if you have other creatures being able to keep damaging your opponent. I don't know. I guess it is pretty slow because you're giving that ability to a creature in your hand. So probably only recasting it once or twice each game, but even then, it seems like a pretty good deal. I don't know, we'll see. So without further ado, let's get into the Streets of New Capenna Alchemy Premier Draft gameplay. Alright, here we are, game 1 now. We are on the play, multiple 2-drops in hand and a combat trick. This looks pretty ideal. Our opponent takes a mulligan here. Alright, mulligan to 6. Start with the mountain, pass the turn. See what's up from our opponent's deck. They are on white, at least. Drop our Mayhem Patrol. I actually should have probably dropped Riveteer's Initiate first, because with a combat trick in hand, we actually kind of want them to block. So playing my creature that doesn't let them block is going to make sure I don't actually get value off my combat trick for a little while here. Ooh, Security Rocks is going to be coming down. That'll be spicy. Yeah, pretty instinctually just went for the menace creature first, because usually that's what you want, but I actually want blocks to be happening this game, so should have played the initiate first. We might have gotten for the family to beat the Rafine's Informant there, get it off the board. Okay, so here, if we attack here, we have to be okay with either not playing Security Rocks to play a combat trick, or just be okay with Riveteer's Initiate trading into Rafine's Informant, and I'm pretty okay with Riveteer's Initiate trading into Rafine's Informant here, so I'm going to attack both. But if they block, I'm not going to spend a combat trick here, because that will stop us from casting our Security Rocks. Now, if they cast their own trick there, and we get to kill both their Informant and their combat trick by casting our own trick, then it would probably be worth it, but not worth the mana to save Riveteer's Initiate there, when we could just play Security Rocks instead. So Exotic Pets was the play from our opponent, so now they have a board full of evasive threats, 2 1/1 unblockable fish, and this turn they've cast an Echo Inspector, a 2/3 in the sky. We are not super worried about their stuff here. We can just attack in with everybody, have access to multiple combat tricks to save whatever we need, and go ham. Hoping to only have to cast for the family to win this combat here, and I believe we do. We're getting +2/+2. They have 3 power going on there. We'll have 4 power against their 4 toughness. Yep, For the Family wins this combat. So we get to have all the mana up for High Rise Sawjack afterwards. So opponent is down to 11, 3 cards in hand. We've got 3 decently sized creatures on board against a single fish. Alright, Obscure Initiate and Cabaret Courtyard from our opponent. Puts them back up to 12 with a potential lifelinking flyer. Alright, ooh, Plasma Jockey is the play. Plasma Jockey's the draw. We're probably going to hard cast that. If I blitz it in here, they only have 1 blocker. They block our 5/4, take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably not worth it. We probably just attack everybody. Something weird happens and we need to antagonize, we can. But if not, we drop our Plasma Jockey. Chump block on Security Rocks it is. Opponent will take 4, going down to 8 life, and here comes Plasma Jockey to shut off a blocker every time it attacks. Witness Protection on Plasma Jockey will shut off that ability, but opponent only has 1 card left in hand. They don't cast it. We have Cleanup Crew to save our jockey from the Witness Protection. And we're probably just finding lethal this turn anyway. So block there, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. They're going to gain 2 life and be at 10. We can do 5 + 4. We can do 9 damage, so we can't kill them with Antagonize. So I think I'm going to hold on to it. Obscura Storefront from our opponent's going to gain them a life, but that is just another land on the top, flooding out a bit there, so that's going to get us the Game 1 victory. Alright, we're on the play again here for Game 2 with another hand that has at least one 2-drop. This time we don't have anything to do on turn 3, which is a bit rough, but we're only one land away from dropping a Security Rocks down. Doing some spicy stuff, and Exhibition Magician is the perfect draw for us. Now we have a great turn 3 play, probably getting the treasure token out of it, so we can get towards casting that Cleanup Crew a turn early. Playing against a Riveteers deck here, and we see one of the new alchemy cards, the Riveteers Provocateur, which is actually pretty terrifying here. That's a 2-mana 3/1 with Menace, and when it enters the battlefield, they get to choose a creature in their hand to give Blitz, where the Blitz cost is going to be equal to its mana cost. So now any creature that they chose in their hand, they can cast it for its mana cost, but play it with haste, sack it, and draw a card off of it. It's also just a 2-mana 3/1 Menace is also just absolutely nuts and limited. That's on par with the 4-mana 3/1 Menace in black. So what are we doing here? We do have 4 mana. Try to be double blocking the Provocateur. We'd much prefer to be on the aggro, but when our opponent plays a 2-mana 3/1 Menace, I don't think we really can be. Yeah, maybe I should have even just split up the Magician into the 1/1 token, but with a 6-drop in hand, I think I stand by the treasure token. If I don't want to pop the treasure right now, I have to just play a 2-mana 2/2. Which isn't great, but I think we're just passing here. Just gotta hold this Menace card off of us. We've got beefy creatures in hand if we can make the game proceed. Oh no, Traumatic Prank from our opponent. It's going to be really good here if they have the casualty card to go alongside it. They do not, but it still it shuts off its ability to block forever. For only 3 mana. Oh yeah, that card actually is kind of crazy here. Traumatic Prank. Alright, we do get to cast a 4-drop here. Play Voice of the Vermin. We trade a shield token and our 1/2 for their Provocateur if they attack in. I guess Security Rocks is big enough that we just trade Patrol for the Provocateur. Yeah, we go Security Rocks. We've got the double block set up if they don't have tricks or removal. Cleanup Crew's probably going to have to just gain us some life here. Unfortunately, opponent has the Murder and a Corrupt Court Official, which is pretty disgusting here. So we've been stuck on lands a little, so it's just all gas in hand for them to discard. Plasma Jockey's not great here because we are pretty locked on the defensive. Really hoping for a land there so we could drop Cleanup Crew, but since we don't get it, we just drop the Voice of the Vermin. But yeah, you can just see how brutal this Menace is, where we're consistently leaving up 2 blockers, and even with 2 blockers up, all they need to do is kill one of our 2 blockers to just hit us for 3 again. Just 2-mana 3/1 Menace. The stat line is just too good this game. Yep. Zeator's Envoy is going to come in here. It's going to close this game out. We can double block the Provocateur, sure, but then they cast something for free with Zeator's Envoy and put us to 1 life. So Envoy's going to die no matter what. We only stop 2 damage if we block there anyway. So no matter where we block, we're stopping 3 damage. We can double block there and stop 3. Or we can block 1 there, and stop 3. Or we can block both there and stop 4, I guess. But then we're not killing any of their creatures. See, I mean, I guess it's kill the Riveteers Provocateur. Hope they don't hit something good off of Zeator's Envoy's ability. If they don't hit something good here, they're down to just a 1/1. Alright, they're down to just a 1/1 on board. If we can hit a... Oh, yeah. That's right. Riveteer's Initiate makes it lethal. I forgot perpetual effects exist. Traumatic Prank, yeah. Traumatic Prank made our only option there to double block Zeator's Envoy. And then take 4, which would put us to 3 life. So then Traumatic Prank puts us to 2. So we'd be at 2 life against a 3/1 Menace and 1/1 on the board. But we would have had a better shot because we could have drawn into the land to potentially gain 4 life off Cleanup Crew. I think we're still definitely losing that game, but that was not the right line. I forgot about the 1 damage perpetual effect. That was disgusting. Riveteer's Provocateur is insane, and the Active Treason effect's better than I thought it was. The card that made our card perpetually damage us. It's Active Treason and the 1-mana enchantment from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, the Clawing Torment. Active Treason and Clawing Torment stapled into 1 card at the price of literally just Active Treason. In a format where the 4-mana version of Active Treason is a very good card. Alright, game 3, here we are. Hypnotic Grifter turn 2 from our opponent after a tapped land. Maestro Cedar is going to pull out Mountain. So they are Maestros, blue, black, red. We have drawn one of our rares this game. We get to drop down a Fight Rigging turn 3. That should be pretty spicy. Expendable Lackey coming out from our opponents. And pass the turn. Put a Cleanup Crew under this Fight Rigging here. If we manage to get a 7-power creature, we now get to cast a Cleanup Crew for free. Body Launderer coming down from our opponent. Terrifying card, very nice mythic. Death Toucher. Whenever a non-token creature they control dies, they connive. And when that dies, they return another creature from their grave to the battlefield. As long as it's smaller than Launderer. Just a very, very good value spell. It's going to do a lot of stuff for its mana cost. Just keep buffing this Mayhem Patrol. I guess we could have played Voice of the Vermin first if we wanted to get a 3/3 with a shield counter on it to block with. It's probably another misplay. 3/3 with a shield counter to block with is probably better than the 4/4 Menace attack there. But Mayhem Patrol is becoming a really, really scary attacker, so they really have to consider the crackbacks if they want to attack in with their Death Touch creature. Like, if we go for the Voice of the Vermin and put a counter on it, then they can't really attack in with the 3/3 Death Toucher. But yeah, we do have to consider they probably don't want to, because they probably want to kill our Menace creature. So, I could see the argument actually either way, putting the counter on the Mayhem Patrol to make threatening enough attacks that they probably double block with the Death Toucher, or put the counter on Voice of the Vermin so they just can't attack in at all. Ooh, Shattering Finale. Target creature and opponent controls perpetually gets -0/-3 with casualty 1. Pretty much all of the alchemy cards are seeming pretty strong. Yeah, that's really good. Kill a creature and perpetually mitigate another one. So, Professional Facebreaker here. Hold up Antagonize with the treasure token. I think we're racing here. I mean, our Mayhem Patrol's getting just nasty in terms of its size. We've got the Antagonize to hold up if we want to try to counter a deal gone bad from our opponent for -3/-3. So our opponent gets the fish token out of their Expendable Lackey. They are going to Grizzly Sigil the Professional Facebreaker. So that's going to do 1 damage the first time, 3 damage the second time. So 1 damage. It's going to do 3 more damage to a 5 toughness creature. It would survive if we antagonize. So let's do that. Any creatures in our opponent's grave right now? No. So if their Body Launderer dies, they're not going to get anything back. So we can blitz our Plasma Jockey, shut off Hypnotic Grifter's ability to block, and then attack with both. And their only legal block is to block Plasma Jockey with Body Launderer and get nothing back from grave. Seems pretty strong. Is there a way to find lethal with Strong Arm? I'm not sure. This Plasma Jockey line seems more than good enough for now. We could even put a counter on Professional Facebreaker. Then if they block there, they take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we draw a card. Nah, let's just keep making Mayhem Patrol ridiculous. No blocks from Hypnotic Grifter. +1 to Mayhem Patrol. So we guaranteed get in for 6. We get in for 9 because they do not want to trade Body Launderer off. And I'm going to pass turn. I'm going to save this treasure token for when I'm untapped and have all the mana in the world to potentially cast whatever's on top instead of hoping for something that costs 3 or less there. We did draw into something that cost 3 or less, so we could have cracked the treasure token, got that on the board, but didn't want to risk it. Rooftop Nuisance. That is very good here. Going to lock down both of our creatures, but if our opponent taps out here, if they attack with Body Launderer and they don't have a counterspell in hand, we can blitz our Kaldaya Strongarm for the victory for 4 damage. Actually 5 damage thanks to Fight Rigging. They're doing a lot of drawing and a lot of conniving here though. So if they've got that 2 mana up, we do have to be worried about a Disdainful Stroke style counterspell, counter something that costs 4 or less. Tap out for Midnight Assassin. Okay, so we can't kill them anymore because they have a blocker. But we can force that Midnight Assassin to trade into our Strong Arm. Ooh, a Pugilist as well. Alright, well, that's already a forced trade. So we can blitz a Pugilist in here. Get a Devil token out of it as well. Yeah, we get something on the board permanently by doing that. I guess we could like Strong Arm and put 2 counters on our Facebreaker. Actually, you know what it is? It's probably Strong Arm. And then actually put 2 counters on Mayhem Patrol. So that Fight Rigging... Yeah, Fight Rigging's going to trigger and cast our Cleanup Crew. There's no artifact or enchantment out, so we just gain 4. Yeah, so now our board's just insane. And we're putting them to 1 if they don't block. So we're putting them to 1. Alright. That was a pretty spicy turn, and our opponent's going to scoop them up. They've had enough of it. Fight Rigging plus Professional Facebreaker. Draw 2 of our very good rares that game. We'll do some nasty stuff. Once again, though, we do get to see some of those alchemy cards in action, thanks to our opponent, and they were pretty sweet. Pretty sweet alchemy stuff in terms of power level. Basically, Strangle for 1 more mana, but for that 1 more mana, you're giving that permanent -3, and you have the ability to potentially double it with Casualty. Really nice card. Alright, game 4 now. As always, with the 6 2-drops in our deck, we're getting them consistently turn 2 every game. That's what we want, because we don't have much removal. We've just got combat tricks to try to leverage. So we're going to go for Civic Gardener first this time. I'm actually going to play my non-menace creature when I have combat tricks in hand, instead of being dumb about it again. Plus, with Civic Gardener out, that opens us up to playing two 2-mana cards on turn 3, because we can do one in the main phase, and then one in main phase 2, after we untap one of our lands. The awkward thing here is if I end up playing a combat trick, I would want it to be Quick Draw Dagger, but I won't be able to afford that if I play a 2-drop in main phase 1. I'd only be able to afford Antagonize, so we have to be okay with just casting Antagonize on a block here, or letting Civic Gardener trade. It's probably fine. Make the most of our mana, do 4 mana worth of things here. Yeah. Allow the trade, get another Mayhem Patrol down. Now if they make any blocks, they have to be double blocks, so if they make any blocks, we can just make them absolutely horrible for them. We get to kill 2 of their creatures off of 1 combat trick. So that should be pretty nice. Ooh, there's giant regrowth from the alchemy cards. That should be pretty sweet. Pretty cool card. These Mayhem Patrols are pretty terrible blockers, but Quick Draw Dagger can fix that. You can use this card on blocks. Do I want to? And if I attack it, I'm taking 5 on the crackback, only dealing 4. Yeah, I guess we're on the defensive. If our opponent holds all their mana up when they go to combat here, so they can sacrifice the 1/1 to win combat, even through a Quick Draw Dagger. Oh boy, and a big spender as well. Well, we can eat the big spender for sure. They'll just sacrifice it in response to at least make one of their body droppers bigger here. Well, it makes them both bigger because it's whenever they sacrifice anything. Yeah, I always forget Body Dropper is very good. I always forget a lot of things. Well, Giant Regrowth's pretty awkward here because it costs double green and we need triple green to regrowth and cast the Gardener. So we can't cast the Gardener this turn, but we can cast Antagonize and Giant Regrowth. So we can Antagonize on a block, I guess. This Mayhem Patrol is not big enough to block a Body Dropper well, but the other one with an Antagonize can be. It's not looking good for us. Getting double Body Dropper is pretty nice on this board state. They can turn them both into 4/4s for 2 mana. Plasma Jockey is terrible for us. That's straight up just game, right? Yeah, it is. They sacrifice the 1/1 they're dealing 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess they're 1 damage off from killing us right now. But then they have 2 5/5s in the end step. That's if they sack the 1/1. We can't block anything because Mayhem Patrol can't block. Yeah, there's absolutely no way out. I'm just gonna scoop them up here. We don't die this turn, but there's nothing in our deck that's gonna beat that over the next couple turns. Body Dropper doing the Body Dropper things. Round 5 now. Pretty slow hand here, but we have Professional Facebreaker, one of the strongest cards in our deck, so I'm probably going to hold on to this. I'm going to use Cabaret Courtyard turn 1 to fetch 1 land out of our deck. Slightly less likely to draw more. And our first draw is Fight Rigging, which is excellent. Now we have both of our best cards in deck in hand. I haven't gotten to play our alchemy removal spell yet, which makes me really sad. Because that's one of the better cards in here as well, and it looks pretty fun. Pass the torch. Playing against another Broker's deck. Drop the Professional Facebreaker first. Generally, you don't want to play Fight Rigging until you have a creature to actually put the counters onto. Elegant Entourage from our opponent. Get to drop Fight Rigging here, get a treasure token off the attack. These all are pretty bad. I guess a 2/3 is bigger than the rest, but this could get Death Touch. By the time we get it, Death Touch might be more valuable, but we're against blue-white and we're not good against flyers. Yeah, I think I'm taking the Reach creature. I'll trade my For the Family for this creature if they're cool with it, and if not, we'll just get that treasure token for the future. Because there is no way Professional Facebreaker's going for any blocks. So let's get that damage out with it. Discipline Duelist. Uh-oh. Two-one Death Touch with a shield counter. Caldia's Strong Arm. Ooh. If you control creature's power 7 or greater, you can cast a spell for free. So we could cast it early if I For the Family in the main phase, but that doesn't feel worth it. You can also just cast Rock's Pummeler and put a counter on the Pummeler instead. It's interesting. I don't think we really have a massive need of a 2/3 right now. So I'm not sure it's worth like cheating it out. I think I just hard cast a 4 or 5 so we have a good blocker. And just keep buffing the Facebreaker and getting in with that to offer our own threats here. Should probably start popping these treasure tokens sooner rather than later, so we definitely get value off a Professional Facebreaker before it dies, because it's our biggest removal target right now. And if I just keep playing spells for my hand, then I've essentially drawn 0 off a Professional Facebreaker. But if I keep trying to cast spells off the top, and just hold on to these cards in hand for later, we can do that to gain a lot of value there. So Disciplined Duelist here. They've definitely got a trick, but we have a trick too. I think I would rather just kill the Entourage than pop a shield off of the Duelist. For the Family, +2/+2. Alright, well, +2/+2 of our own definitely beats that. So our creature's bigger at face value. Take 6. Down to 11. But we can block Disciplined Duelist next turn with Strong Arm or a bunch of other stuff. Let's see what Facebreaker's going to hit off the treasure token here. Let's actually try to get some value off of it. 4, so at least we get a land there. That's some value. We drew a card off of it. And then, do we play Pummeler here? Yeah, Pummeler's actually really nice here, because we go Pummeler, make it 7 power, get another blocker, and now we're free to attack with both of these. Really put the pressure on our opponent here. Now they're down to 6. Got 2 blockers up, and 1 mana from a treasure token. Nothing to cast for that 1 mana, though. Giant Regrowth being cast in the Elegant Entourage here. Pretty cool. So that'll be a 7/7 for 4 mana when they cast it. Okay, Civic Gardener is going to come in and untap a land. I'm assuming they just need that mana. So we'll take that free kill. Just cast another Civic Gardener, and they scoop them up. That is going to be 3 and 2 for us. So I think the weakest alchemy card we've seen so far has been the Giant Regrowth. It was just too slow for us in the last matchup, and it was too slow for our opponents in that match. Giant Growth is one of the coolest alchemy cards, though, because it's such a throwback to the classics, to Giant Growth and Regrowth. So it's a bit of a bummer, but it does seem like it's probably too slow. I mean, 3 mana to bring back just 1 card. In the modern era of Magic, it usually just costs 1 mana to bring back a creature card. So because you're getting that extra value with the +3/+3 for bringing back creatures, Giant Regrowth is usually just like 3 mana to bring 1 creature back to hand. Which is kind of a lot. Pretty slow. Alright, so here we are on the play again. We've got our 2-drop, got a 4-drop later. See how this game goes here, but no matter what, average run for the alchemy draft. 3 wins. Or average win rate. Loose in the Park. What on earth does that do? When it enters the battlefield, draft a card from its spellbook and exile it. For 3 mana, they make the enchanted land a copy of the card, except it's a land. What on earth is this? So for 3 mana, they can decide to turn this land into a 4/4 until end of turn. I mean, that's not bad. They draw a card when they do it. Weird card. Weird card. Pretty cool. That's going to be interesting to keep in mind. Oh, that's not what they drafted out of the spellbook. That was just one of the options in the spellbook. Oh, yeah, there's 15 different ones. They choose one of 3 that show up, so they got a 5/3 hexproof. So for 3 mana, they make a land a 5/3 hexproof till end of turn? Alright, well, we'll need to make sure we can block and kill their land then, because that's terrifying. That is pretty terrifying. But they're a little far off from doing it. They can't do it this turn. They could do it next turn. Bank Job. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the bottom creature card of their library. They can cast it this turn. At the beginning of the next end step, if it's still exiled, put it into their graveyard. Create a treasure. Okay. That is very good. Wow. So if it's a creature that's cheap enough to cast, they essentially just drew an extra card that turn. And if it's not, they just get a treasure token anyway. Wow. Our opponent is popping off with some real spice in terms of their alchemy cards here. I'm pretty envious. Some interesting cards. They get a Menagerie Curator from the alchemy cards as well. Wow, the alchemy cards kind of just vanished from our draft pod real quick, but our opponent 3 for 3 on plays that are just alchemy cards here. And another really cool one, Menagerie Curator is going to add mana of any color for creatures, and when they cast a creature spell that doesn't share a creature type with a creature in their library, they draw a card. So basically a 2 mana 1/3 that taps for mana of any color. I doubt it'll draw them cards that often. And Unleash the Inferno is going to be the play to kill our 5/4. They'll just get a treasure token off of the Bank Job then. Drop our Pugnacious Pugilist then. Hit for 2. And Cleanup Crew is the exiled card here. They only need 1 more mana to cast that, and they've got the mana, so Bank Job putting in some work there. An excellent draw for our opponent. Get a 6/6 and gain 4 life here. That really shuts off our plans entirely, because our Pugilist just can't attack well anymore, not until we have 4 creatures on the board for the family to be +4/+4. Kind of just getting handled by this this alchemy deck over here. Very far on the back foot. Our opponent's got a ton of extra cards. They've got 5 cards in hand still versus our 2, plus Bank Job drawing them more cards every turn. Looks pretty down here. Looks like probably going to be a 3/3. Yep. Bank Job is now drawing Agent of Rafine, a 1 mana alchemy card. Choose target opponent, conjure duplicate of the top card of their library into your hand. They can spend mana of any color. So 1 mana for a 1/2. They can spend 2 mana and tap it to draw a card. Sure, it's drawing a card out of our library, but that's still another incredible card advantage spell. So our opponent's just 5 color alchemy, the deck. At least 4 color. We haven't seen a white card from them yet. Here comes Mr. Orfeo with Cleanup Crew. They can attack with a 12-6. But then we don't have to worry about their crackbacks, which is... Or we don't have to worry about their blocks, not their crackbacks. So I could trade... I could 2-for-1 myself here, trade my Pugilist and For the Family for the Cleanup Crew, or I could just trump block with Sawjack, or I can take 12. I really enjoy that we actually get to attack now. I think I'm just gonna... It's either chump with Sawjack or take 12. I'm definitely cracking back with the Pugilist. I'm gonna take 12. Go to 8 here. We're gonna be bold with it. But being able to attack with Pugilist seems like one of our most likely ways to actually find a way to win. Ooh, especially with a professional Facebreaker. So now we do have For the Family for +4/+4. So now we should have really good blocks. We have the mana to give Death Touch plus cast the For the Family. Just attack with Pugilist to hold up the Death Touch blocker here. Do we send in the Initiate as well? We're going to have a Devil token. That'll come up at tapped and attacking, though. Yeah, we're not going to have a lot of blockers without Initiate. Initiate really, really blocks well. We could kill Orfeo here with For the Family. Then we don't kill Cleanup Crew with it, but we always threaten that Death Touch blocker. I think it's worth it. Get Orfeo out of here. Okay, and we get a treasure token we can use to draw a card next turn. So Bank Job popping off again. Jewel Thief is the pickup. Excellent card. 3/3 Vigilance Trample. And it comes with a treasure token. So our opponent has 7 mana up. Actually 8 with their treasure token. Jewel Thief's going to give them another treasure. So the deck is mainly Riveteers. Seems like Riveteers, treasure, and some alchemy stuff. They probably drafted every alchemy card that they saw, so they're just running Agent of Ravine. Just because it's an alchemy card. Zerator's Envoy is a very, very good card. We got slammed by that a couple games ago. So we're going to need to hold good blockers up for that, as always. Alright, let's draw a card off the Facebreaker. Mayhem Patrol it is. Come on out, Mayhem Patrol. We have Voice of the Vermin or Exhibition Magician. If I cast either of those, I don't have the mana to get Death Touch. But I probably don't need it anymore, because I do have a lot of blockers, and their 6/6 doesn't have Trample. Yeah, let's cast Voice of the Vermin. But we don't have good attacks into their 6/6. Definitely need to draw into something. Duskmangler kind of sucks here, because it's going to make us discard our Exhibition Magician. Ooh, and actually, yeah, lose 4 life is a lot here. An Unlucky Witness for the play right before Duskmangler, going to draw them even more cards. We do have a good creature to sacrifice at least. For the Duskmangler. But yeah, the 4 life in the discard is pretty painful. Alright. So now we just have Civic Gardener hold up Riveteer's Initiate's ability. It's looking real bad for us. We're on the back foot here and our opponent is still drawing a bajillion cards per turn. Maybe they'll mill out eventually. They're down to 14. They've already drawn 10 more cards than us. Or their deck is 11 cards smaller than ours through drawing extra cards, through exiling cards from the top, through fetching lands out. So from various means, but still. Ooh, Freelance Muscle. Well, that's where our Death Toucher's going to have to go now. So the 6/6 we're going to have to kill with 4/4 and a 2/3 as blockers or something like that. We've got the mana to do this and still hold up Death Touch now, so we will. Venom Connoisseurs to play. Don't have the mana to do that and still hold up Death Touch. Bank Job now grabs a Masked Vandals. Masked Bandits. 5/5 Vigilance Menace. And there's Courier's Briefcase with a ton of treasures. They can pop that to draw 3 cards. Put them down to 8 cards in library, but they're pretty likely to find lethal soon here. I think their board state's bigger than ours, so if they just attack all a couple turns here, like we run out of stuff to block with, pretty sure. Ooh, Rock's Pummeler. We don't threaten a Death Touch block if we put Rock's Pummeler down right now. Because that Freelance Muscle is going to be bigger than it, but Rock's Pummeler blocks like the 6/6 really well. I think we have to always be holding up our Death Touch blocker until Freelance Muscle dies. So they have 8 attackers, we have 8 blockers, but they have a Menace creature, and the Menace creature is quite large. So we're pretty close to dead here. We can block everything but the 2/1/1s, I guess, because we can double block the Menace. Block everything but the 2/1/1s, go to 2 life. They still have more creatures in their deck for Bank Job here, even after all these draws. Fatal Grudge. Well, that is pretty bad. I guess a 2/2 with no important blocking text is our worst card. Probably actually our 1/2 Menace is worse than just a 2/2 because we just really need to worry about blocking over anything else. Alright, opponent again thinning their deck with fetch lands and stuff. They're down to 7 cards in library. They're going to have to start slamming the all attack button, but again, when they start doing that, pretty sure things go miserably for us. So, down to 4 cards in library now. And Maestro's Initiate coming out. So we're just crossing our fingers and hoping our opponent just doesn't attack us ever. Just sit here drawing cards until they run out of stuff. That way we can both have a good time. I can win the game and they can draw a bunch of cards. Everybody's happy. Alright, no attacks this turn at least. Strangle on Professional Facebreaker. Well, it's not good for us, because the board state's now starting to get to the point where it's very obvious that it's an all attack. It's getting very, very lopsided. And again, I don't think I can afford to cast this Pummeler. I guess I can just chump block. Yeah. I need more blockers. I'll just have to chump block the Freelance Muscle when they attack all here. I mean, if they just attack with Freelance Muscle, then we're fine, because we just block and lose a shield counter. Riveteer's Charm. Seems very good there. Alright. They have finally started attacking, so we are finally going to lose now. When Steel's combat damage you play, I'll go top card of your library. You may play a land from the top. If you don't put it into your hands, they have to draw it there. They go to 2 cards in library. If we somehow survive here, no, we can't. We're not killing enough things. We're just dead on board because they had enough removal with Strangle and Riveteer's Charm. Right? I guess no. Yeah, we're dead on board. I mean, I could not double block the Menace, but if I don't double block the Menace, I take 5 and die. But yeah, this is dead on board. That's game. There's no block lives through that. 3-3 it will be for the Alchemy Streets of New Capenna draft. My first look at the format there. Pretty fun stuff. Don't think I drafted ideally here. I did end up in arguably the weakest 2-color pair in the format, in green-red. So that wasn't great. Probably should have just taken Ziatora over Pass the Torch. If I'd known that I wasn't going to draw Pass the Torch a single time, I definitely would have done that. I really just wanted to try out the new alchemy cards, and I just didn't get to with Pass the Torch, at least, unfortunately. Giant Regrowth was too slow for us and too slow for our opponents the one time we saw them using it, so I'm probably not going to be taking that in the future out of the alchemy cards. Other than that, we didn't get to play around with the white one, the green-white one, Rope Line Attendant, because white was pretty hard cut out of our draft pod very quickly. So I kind of got pushed into green-red here. Didn't like that. Maybe I should have read the draft pod a little better earlier and hopped in more on black, because we did see a lot of murders and stuff going around early. So black seemed pretty open at the start there. So maybe blue-black or something like that would be the best place to be in this draft pod. Either way, not super unhappy with the performance. 3-3 average win rate. I'll take it. First time playing off with the new alchemy cards. They're definitely pretty fun, and we ran up against some pretty bonkers stuff. The 2-mana 3/1 Menace was insane. I think our first loss and our final loss here were just really, really nice stuff from our opponent. Really cool to see. The bank job from that last opponent was pretty incredible. Drew them an extra card almost every single turn of the game. And then, yeah, the 2-mana 3/1 Menace in that early round and the Active Treason effect were very, very powerful cards from our opponent. So 1,000 gems, 2 packs, 3 wins here. Not bad at all. We're only down about 400 gems, and we're getting a couple alchemy packs out of the draft, so I'll certainly take it. Had a pretty fun time with this draft. I really like shaking up the draft format with some of the new alchemy cards, like Streets of New Capenna gets its own little mystical archives for a little bit here. So it's a fun way to keep drafting New Capenna, but draft it with a little bit extra, a little bit of fancy stuff alongside. So, so yeah. Pretty cool time, pretty fun time. I will definitely be doing a couple more of these Streets of New Capenna alchemy drafts, so if you are interested in that, stick around on the channel. As always, you can like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more of these videos, but other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.